What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you, and we have our good friend Jim Nagy, the general manager at the University of Oklahoma, join us. Jim, anything going on this weekend? Any plans?
No, there's a little game on Saturday. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, just a little something.
How the heck have you been, man? Let's start first of all. We'll get to the game, a huge game coming up this weekend in the SEC. But we wanted to catch up with you and just see how you've enjoyed this transition, going from running the Senior Bowl, doing a phenomenal job there after a long scouting career where we became friends, to taking this leap here into this whole new world as a GM at Oklahoma.
Yeah, guys, it's been awesome. It's something I never thought I would work in college football. You guys probably never thought you would work in college football, but when they started paying players and putting value on players, our skill set kind of fit. I just never saw our skill set fitting in college football, but here we are. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's been a really busy 7 months, I think. I think we're at the 7-month point here. But yeah, every day is a new day, learning a lot. I knew a lot of the guys on the staff. I mean, old enough now, I scouted a bunch of the guys on our coaching staff, about half the staff probably. But no, it's been great. Coach Venables has been great. Just put a great staff together on the scouting side, hired 10 guys. And, just trying to earn the coach's trust every day, build that relationship, build their trust. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
What's been the biggest surprise in terms of the difference in working in college compared to being in the NFL landscape?
Buck, I thought I was coming into this job with my eyes wide open. I really did. But there's things that always surprise you. I would say probably the biggest thing was that everyone in the locker room talks. And, it's as grown men, like I would never ask either of you guys what you make for a living without, expecting to get punched in the face. But this is a different generation and, they share a lot down there. So you just got to know, you got to know whatever you're paying the players, like it's going to get out in the locker room. So, I heard a head coach at media days in the summer talk about how he lost his football team last year. And because of, some of those dynamics, some of the upperclassmen found out what some of the younger guys were making and kind of threw the team out of whack a little bit. And I have a responsibility to the coaching staff who's built an incredible culture here in Norman in my role not to do that. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Jim, has there been an opportunity for you to have an impact on a personal level with kids? I mean, I know it's a whole new landscape and these guys are getting paid and it's different, but one of the things you always heard from guys who worked in college versus the NFL is like, hey, we can have an impact on the person as well as the player in this environment. Is that opportunity, does that still exist in college?
Absolutely. And especially in a place like Oklahoma. I mean, that's what we know, that there are certain things that we can sell here that other schools maybe can. And there's certain things other schools sell that we can't. But we can sell the development in just pouring into these players. Coach Venables is huge into developing the whole person. And Lake Dawson, another one of our former scouting friends. Lake says hello, by the way.
Well, tell him I said hi.
That was a big draw to get Lake leave the Buffalo Bills. Quite frankly, I mean, he wanted to come down to the college level and help affect these young guys. He walked the same path as you did, Buck, from college to Senior Bowl to the NFL, and that's something Lake wanted to do. So yeah, since we got here in March, had a lot of different conversations, about the NFL. And then on a daily basis, I sit at lunch with these guys, see them out of practice, see them over the weekend. So yeah, a lot of opportunities. But like with this year's senior class, all these draft eligible guys, we'll get through the season, then it'll probably pick up that way. But they've come to me about, agent selection and draft process. There's been a lot of those questions so far. And then really just trying to help the young guys with the transition to college, because that's really a difficult thing.
Hey, I'm really appreciative and excited for Lake Dawson joining you there. You talk about walking a similar path. Not only did we play together at the Senior Bowl, but we also were together in Seattle, where helped him get on board or whatever. So it's kind of great to see him make that transition. And thinking about the transition, I got to ask you, man, because you spend so much of your time looking at college guys getting ready for pros. Now you're a mix of looking at guys in college getting ready to jump in the portal and high school guys. Like, how do you cast your eyes when you have such a wide range of skills, talents, ages, all that other stuff? It just seems like it'd be a very, very difficult task to kind of cast your eye on the right level.
Yeah, it has been a change watching the high school stuff. I mean, my son played high school ball a couple of years ago in Mobile, and obviously watched him. But you guys know, I mean, Buck, you coach, DJ, you've had sons play. It's a different animal. So, just depending on what parts of the country, if you're watching, a ball in California or Texas or Florida, like some of these really good high school football states, it's a little easier. But I always boil it down to this way, guys, from a scouting perspective. I mean, you focus on the athlete, you focus on the movement, the explosion, all the things that carry over. Then you look at instincts. Instincts are instincts, right? Do they have a feel for the game? Can they find the ball? And then play, and then play style. Like motor, tempo, physicality, violence. We're trying to build a long, violent, fast, urgent football team. So those things carry over. Those things transcend the level of competition. And I kind of look at some of the high school guys when you're looking at some of these not great high school football playing states. It's like watching small school college tape. It's like watching Division II guys, Division III guys, and they have to dominate. They have to stick out immediately. They have to kind of have that man amongst boys quality to them. So that's it. But yeah, it certainly has its challenges. It's certainly different than watching college tape project into the NFL.
Yeah, man, your eyes are working on 3 different levels, man. That's incredible. Jim, one of the things we've talked about a lot on here this last year has been kind of a theme and looking at background on players and character and football character and those things. And we've kind of come up with this phrase. We just talk about having a high care factor. When you're bringing guys in, whether it is the portal, whether it's a high school kid, what are ways you can go about learning what their care factor looks like?
Yeah, it's really similar, guys, to what we did when we were in the NFL, just sitting across from a kid and, asking him about why he does this and what's important to him. And that's the great thing about getting these guys on campus multiple times, because you're kind of, for lack of a better phrase, you're kind of peeling back that onion every time and getting a little deeper into who the person is. And to me, that's critical. We saw it in the NFL that when you get those guys in as rookies and they've got a lot of money in their pocket for the first time and a lot more time on their hands, the guys that could manage that transition, if they had the maturity to do it, if they had the care factor, football was really important to them. Now we're having to deal with that at this level. And, it was an issue for NFL guys, when they were 22, 23, transitioning out of college. Now we got, kids having the same issues, with a lot of money in their pocket and a lot of, time on their hands and being away from home for the first time. I mean, it even makes it more complicated. So we have to get the person right. We've talked about it on the show before, the three of us, how, when you really get a player wrong, and going back in our scouting times, the three of us, I mean, I feel like we've all missed on the person more than we've missed on the player. I think that the tape is the easier part of the evaluation. Figuring out how the person is wired is the harder part. And then, again, for us, just at Oklahoma, I'll speak specifically to how we're looking at this thing. It's not just the player anymore. It's also the family. There has to be stability in the home, because this transfer portal is really easy to jump into. And I don't care what the family structure looks like. I don't. It's not, it doesn't have to be 2-parent or single parent. It can be grandparents. It can be an aunt and uncle, but there has to, whatever that looks like, there needs to be stability there. So we're not only looking at the players now, we're also looking into the family structure.
It's funny that you talk about like looking into the family structure. And I just remember now, we can't really say it because of HR concerns. Remember, we used to talk about when you get here, who's coming with you? Like, who's the support system around you? All of those things. But it was a big part of trying to figure out who the player is and who he could be in your building. I'm fascinated by what you're talking about. DJ's talking about the care factor and those things. How many times do you have to get them on campus before you really get a feel for who they are? Unlike the 30 visits and all the stuff that we kind of restricted on at the NFL level, what does that look like now as you're dealing with college players and high school recruits and those things?
Yeah, again, that was a big selling point for guys coming to Mobile, because I would always tell players, like, these scouts have been coming in your buildings for forever trying to find out about you. But you only really have that, February through April timeframe to tell your own story and let the teams get to know you. And in the big scheme of things, that's a short period of time. And we're kind of dealing with the same thing here. So if we can get them out here, for a fall visit, get them back in the spring for a workout, then get them for an OV. But this whole recruiting thing, and I'm certainly new to it. There's a lot of people in college football that can speak to it more than I can. But it seems like it's getting accelerated. And these guys are wanting to make up their minds earlier. So again, I get that we're recruiting players. Everyone talks about the NFL. This is an NFL model, and it's not, because we're not drafting players. There's a difference, and I certainly get that. We have to recruit the players; they have to choose us. But at the same time, I mean, we can be selective as well. We can't just bring guys in because they want to come to Oklahoma. They have to be the right fit. So I don't know if there's a certain number, Bucky, but when they're on campus, we've got a big enough staff. That's the great part of our new structure, is that we've got 10 full-time guys on the scouting side. And they're not just evaluators. The way we put the staff together, and I think Lake Dawson is a great example. Like, Lake's not just sitting in an office watching tape every day. Like, he's got a lot more value to OU football than that. I mean, when we get families on visits, it's crazy. We're like the parents' age right now. So we're like Lake and I are relating with the parents, and we've got some younger guys on the staff that can relate more to the players. But no, that's a really important part, is to get these guys on campus. And we have enough manpower. We have a lot of different people spending time with these guys on each visit. And we do a lot of preparation before we get players to come in. Michigan was probably the biggest recruiting weekend in the history of Oklahoma, at least in recent memory. We've got a big weekend coming up at Ole Miss here in a couple weeks. And we talk about it. We have a strategy for each player that's coming in and who's meeting with them and who's spending time. So it's a collective effort. And then you got to download, just like you were, when you sit in draft meetings and talk about, who picked him up from the airport. What was that exposure like? Like we have that broken down. So as many people that can get in front of these kids, it's not just the position coach. It's not just the coordinator. It's not just myself or Coach Venables. It is truly a collective group effort. And then we try to see where we land on the player. Hopefully we're seeing the player all the same way.
Yeah, you can tell this is something that's very thought out, very organized, very detailed, which is basically the NFL coming to the collegiate level and taking that model. That's fascinating to me. I was looking at your schedule. Obviously, there's a huge game we'll get to in a second here coming up with Texas. Oklahoma doesn't get any bigger than that one. But I was just looking at it, Jim. You go South Carolina after that, and then it's number 4 Ole Miss, number 12 Tennessee, number 8 Alabama, number 14 Missouri, number 11 LSU. How much, now that you're in it, now you're in the SEC gauntlet and you're getting an up-close personal view, how challenging is it for all these teams when it is just one after another every single week?
Well, there's certainly no Saturdays off. There's no get right week when you're in the SEC, really. I look at the schedule for some other conferences, and there's a game in there. And we've had a couple, early in the year where we can kind of, we had Michigan and then a break and then Auburn. But from here on out, you got to show up every Saturday and put your best foot forward. So to me, in that sense, the SEC is very much like the NFL. The whole, on any given Sunday thing for the NFL, it certainly, I think it applies to the SEC any given Saturday. We're seeing what Vandy's doing this year and the program that Clark Lee's building. So there's never a Saturday off. You rattled off where all those teams are ranked. It's going to be a dogfight, similar to the NFL. Those NFL games come down to like 3 or 4 plays every Sunday. And we had a close game against Auburn here at home a couple weeks ago. I think we're going to be in a lot of those. And we love our veteran football team and guys that step up in big moments like R. Mason Thomas did against Auburn in some big spots. We think we have the guys to do that. But yeah, it's certainly the word gauntlet has been thrown around a lot in the local media here. It is certainly going to be a gauntlet.
You've been a Super Bowl champion at the NFL level, so you understand what a championship caliber team looks like at the pro level. But now that you're at the collegiate level, does it change at all in terms of, if we're thinking about building the ideal team, where we used to talk about the marquee spots being quarterback and left tackle and those things? Is it different in the college game in terms of how you have to stockpile talent, where the blue chippers need to be on the positions on the chessboard?
For us, Bucky, we just have our philosophy and the positions we value. You really do have to take a roster building look at this thing similar to the NFL, and you can only invest in certain positions. And it's not to say that if there's a player at one of our spots that maybe we don't value as much, if we're in a position to get a really good player out of high school, that we wouldn't, or in the portal to take a shot there and go after that player. But yeah, we're going to build with the guys up front. We're much improved on the offensive line this year. We've got a young left tackle. We've got a transfer center. We've got a transfer right tackle. And then on the defensive side, we go I mean, our 2 deep is really, really competitive. It's really hard to build competitive depth in college football right now with the portal and really get guys to buy in. And that's, again, I think what our roster looks like right now is indicative of what Coach Venables and the staff have done here. I mean, this is not, when I took this job in March, this team was coming off a 6-7 season. And when I came in to interview, it didn't feel like a 6-7 building at all. And then we got into spring practice and fall camp, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't a 6-7 roster. So we legitimately go 2 deep across the board on defense. So I really like how we're built on both sides of the ball, and obviously, just like the NFL, you need to have a quarterback. And John Mateer so far this year, and Michael Hawkins last week, we've got really good play at that spot so far.
Tell me about Mateer. And I'm not going to do the hey, let's get a detailed breakdown on his health. What's his status like? Just a healthy John Mateer. What does he bring on the grass as well as in the building?
Yeah, appreciate you for not asking about the current situation, but no, John's awesome, man. Seriously, like scouts come through every day. I talk to those guys. He's got another year left. After this year, we'll see what he wants to do. He is hyper competitive, so. I would expect, I know he expects to win a lot of games this year and for the team to have great success. And I think that matters to him. I think he wants to leave his mark here at Oklahoma. But man, he's been unbelievable. You guys know how hard it would be to come in as a transfer quarterback and win the team over. And that did not take very long at all. And I think the great thing about John is he's got a genuine quality about him that everyone buys into. Like, I guess the best way to say it, he connects with everyone on the team. There's not a certain group of guys. Like, he could go into any position room and click with all those guys. And that's not many quarterbacks have that nowadays, at least the ones that I've come across. He's got a really cool ability to connect with guys, and they buy into him. And then you get him on the field on game days, and he's just hyper competitive. You guys see that on the tape. You see it on the highlights on the weekends. I mean, he is a real dude. He's got kind of a throwback quality that way. There was a lot of Baker Mayfield comparisons in the off season because of his play style, and he's got some of that to him. But yeah, I tell all the scouts, like there's no box he doesn't check when it comes to the makeup part of it. He's in the building all the time. He's here. I mean, he's here like first one in, last one out. All those cliches. He's all that stuff. And then the grittiness, the toughness is off the charts. And then just his ability to lead guys and guys follow him. That's a hard quality to find, and he's got it.
I have to ask you now that we're talking about the rivalry and those things. Like, I've always believed that there's something special about being at a blue blood place, a place that has a lot of tradition. How have you wrapped yourself into the lore of Oklahoma Sooners football?
Well, there was a reason why I jumped at this opportunity. I'm really grateful I had the opportunity, but jumped at it because, again, it is a special place. There's not many places like OU. We all park under the stadium every day, but I park out front in front of the Switzer Center at least once a week because I want to walk by those trophies every day. There's 7 national championship trophies and 7 Heisman trophies downstairs. And we had the 1985 team with the Boz and all those guys back for the 40th reunion of their national championship over the weekend. And I told that group that. I said, guys, you built this thing. Like, you guys are Oklahoma football, and you're what we aspire to be as a program. And so I told them I intentionally walk through the lobby of the Switzer Center just to remind myself, because I think we all get in our daily grinds a little bit and, kind of lose sight of things. I want like a weekly reminder of where I'm at. So, yeah, it's really a special place. I wanted to go somewhere where there was no limits and win at the highest level. I got spoiled working for some good teams in the NFL. So just wanted to go a place where we could win championships, and you can certainly do that here.
I got to tell you this story. So Mac Brown was Barry Switzer's offensive coordinator. I think maybe when Troy Aikman was there. And he said the one thing that he learned from Barry Switzer was how to design a bowl ring. And he said in the office, Barry Switzer used to keep all of the bowl rings in like a little 10 cigar box. And every day he would have to figure out which ones he would wear on the thing. And so when you talk about going by those trophies or whatever, it makes me think about Coach Brown saying, the one thing that I learned at Oklahoma was how to design an exemplary bowl ring. So you get a chance to see all of the hardware on a daily basis at the Switzer Center.
That's cool.
I never knew that Mac was with Barry Switzer. That's an interesting combination. I would have liked to have been in there.
I think Coach Brown was there when Troy Aikman was there when they were trying to transition to the I, and Aikman gets hurt, and then Barry goes back to running the option, and away they go. And so, yeah, he said he just talk about Coach Switzer and just the unbelievable confidence and aura that he had. And I think now to think about putting 70 plus points on people running the wishbone is kind of crazy. That speaks to the talent that was at OU, that you could beat people to sleep running the ball on every play.
So let me jump in on this. So this 85 team that we just honored, Troy Aikman was the starter to start the season. So think about that, a future number one pick. He goes down. You guys will remember this name. We were kids. I mean, I was 11 years old. But remember Jamel Holloway?
Oh, Jamel Holloway, yeah.
True freshman comes in. Everyone probably thought the sky was falling, that Troy Aikman got hurt. Jamel Holloway, true freshman, comes in and leads them to a national championship. So, and I'll tell you what, Coach Switzer still believes that we could run the wishbone. Wishbone would work in today's football, and he could score 70 points. We've had that conversation.
He said that all the time. He says it all the time that, hey, the first major college with elite athletes that ran the wishbone would win a national title. He swears by it. He says it all the time.
So I had to get up and speak in front of that group on Saturday and just doing a little research. So here's the difference in college football now. That Oklahoma team had 18 running backs on the roster. we have 6 on the roster right now, and they only had 8 wide receivers.
Wow. That is amazing. They call them blockers there, Jim. At that time, they were not called wide receivers. They were called blockers. Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic. Last one from me, just out of curiosity. What is your busiest day of the week? Because I'm just curious about the flow here. So your busiest day of the week, and like, what does that day look like? Give us a little breakdown of someone that's in your role in a program like this. Give me a busy day and what that could entail.
Monday's definitely the busiest. I mean, Sunday we come in and watch the tape from the day before, download as a staff. That way, get with the sports performance team after they've seen all the players and go over the injury report and what that's going to look like for the upcoming week. But then Monday, it's just heavy meetings, heavy staff meetings with coaches, our scouting staff. Yeah, Mondays, I feel like I'm in meetings from 8 a.m. till about 4 p.m. and then try to get a workout in and then get back in, watch a little more tape and head home. But yeah, Monday's definitely the busiest day. In season, at least. Yeah.
All right, Nags, ahead of your big game, I hate to say, like, you and I go way back to our time with the Packers, and I've always been like the biggest fan. I support you wholeheartedly. But now we're rivals because my daughter is at the University of Texas. She's a freshman.
Okay. Oh, I forgot about that.
And so now it's personal. So now I have to, so now as a Longhorn parent, I have to throw up the hook'em on Saturday, and it pains me.
He just put him down. He just threw him down on you.
It pains me. It pains me that we're sitting on the opposite sides for the first time ever. But yeah, I think we're sarking them.
Buck, you better rethink that, man. You better rethink that. If Texas were to win, tuition's probably going up, man. So you better rethink that strategy.
I mean, look, it can't get much higher out of state. It can't. Like it's like sugar on top. I mean, what are we talking about when it comes to?
Well, Buck, if it were any other week, I would congratulate you on your daughter, because that is a great academic school, but not this week.
Yeah, they're marking down this week, maybe. Hey, this has been fun, Nags. We have everybody shooting, not just us. Everybody will be watching this weekend. It's really one of the great traditions in college football, one of the great matchups. Can't wait for it and excited for you to experience it firsthand here, man. We appreciate your time, appreciate your friendship.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. It's amazing. I'm so fired up for Saturday because the only two really big rivalry games that I'd never been to as a scout were OU Texas and Army Navy. So
wow.
Yeah,
first time.
I'm checking one off the list. So yeah, we can't wait. Heading down here to Dallas here in a little bit. But appreciate you guys having me on. This was fun. It's always a lot of fun. But great to see you guys.
You're the best, buddy. We'll be watching. We'll catch up soon. All right, Buck. Well, there he goes. Great conversation with our good friend Jim Nagy there. Interesting job, man. That's why I'm just kind of curious of like some of the behind the scenes and what that looks like. Man, it's again, I think you asked the question that I was thinking of too is, man, training your eyes on high school kids after being in the NFL space for so long, and even at the Senior Bowl, you're looking at the best of college football. And then all of a sudden now you're watching a 17-year-old kid trying to project what he's going to look like in 3 years.
I mean, in a weird way, DJ, it's like my life going from watching an NFL game on Sunday, coming back to high school practice on Monday, and just like the stark differences between just the skill level and those things. But I think for him and Lake and the rest of that staff, it has to be an unusual situation, right? Because your eyes have to go all over the gamut in terms of looking at guys that are getting ready to go pros because they want your advice about what do you think my draft stock is going to be, to then in the portal trying to build a championship program, to now the recruiting process and trying to project out how a 17, 18-year-old kid is going to advance over a 4 or 5 year run. That is a lot to juggle. He talks about a 10-man staff. That's a lot. And we didn't get a chance to talk about like working together with the head coach in terms of building the ideal team that the head coach wants. I mean, there are a lot of different challenges when it comes to it, but I'm excited to have so many friends of ours that are in that business, because we talked about it like 4 or 5 years ago that we knew it was heading that way. But man, I don't think any of us saw it exploding like it's exploded now, where the collegiate game is literally like minor league NFL ball.
So one of the things I want to get your thoughts on as someone who is a coach, how would you handle what he referenced on there with players sharing? They share all their information. You can't stop them from doing that. So you know what players are making. He referenced one coach saying he thought his locker room kind of fell apart when some of the older guys found out how much the younger guys were making. But if you're going to stand up in front of the room, you are the GM at a blue blood program, and you got to get up in front of the room and try and cut that off at the pass. What would your message be to the team about that specific thing?
One, I think you have to be transparent. And I think it's very similar to what Jimmy Johnson used to say. Hey, we're going to treat everyone fairly, but we're not treating everyone equally. And the better the performance and the production, the more the pay is going to be. But I think you have to get in front of it. What I would like to do is kind of have a rite of passage. Try and put all of the guys that come in, the young guys, kind of like a set system where the older guys are rewarded, and make the young guys earn their keep before we pay them. So if
you won't get them. You're not going to get that. I've heard that. I've heard coaches say, look, our program is going to be incentive based. Like, once you perform, we will pay you. Well, guess what? A kid's got an offer for $1 million coming in the front door. He's not going to buy that.
I just think it's hard from the chemistry of the locker room. If you have like a freshman who hasn't proven it, making whatever, like, I just think it can kind of do it. So like my take, I would try and do it that way, because I think it's really hard if you pay the high school recruit $1 million, then he shows up and he doesn't look like $1 million.
It's going to happen in every building. But I just don't know how you even get in the game with a high 4-star or a 5-star talented kid, and you need talent.
I guess it depends on where you're at. But I think also, you remember you talked about the care factor.
Yeah.
When you're depending on where you are, when you're at Ohio State or whatever, like, you still wanted to be as close to the ball as it can be in terms of like, hey, let's do a competitive environment. So whatever you make, but the people that play here are the people that earn the right to play. And I think it's a unique trick. I think you have to be able to like build it out. I'm not envious of anybody, because without a salary cap, I mean, it is the wild, wild west when it comes to acquiring players and trying to put it together, whatever. I don't envy any of these teams. And I do believe that's why you can see a situation where 2 years ago, Florida State was at the top of the world. And then last year they're struggling because the inequities of everything. Like, it is a chemistry experiment with a lot of money being thrown at the players.
Yeah, I almost think because I thought about that. Like, what would your answer or approach be? You still want to bring in talented players. So you're going to have some younger kids who are making more than and haven't proven anything. And you're going to have some younger kids come in who don't end up being very good. And they're going to look like, well, if that guy's making that, I should be making this. I think that you have to get the team in the room and say, guys, we did what we needed to do to get all of you in this room. And some of you came in making more money than others. It will have zero impact on who plays. Zero impact on who plays. And these are the dollars. Like, these are the quarters. Like, the money that we're talking about now, it seems like a lot of money, but these are the quarters. The dollars are what's off into the NFL and off into your professional future. So we got everybody in here that we could. And as you perform and play well, you will be rewarded for that. But there are going to be some guys who come in making more or less than others. But if you keep your focus on handling your business, two things: you're going to play, and number two, you're going to get opportunities to make the real money in the future. So don't get too caught up in what this money looks like for the younger guys.
You know what it sounds like? What you just said sounds a lot like what Pete Carroll used to talk about when he was in Seattle, when they had to make Russell Wilson the starter, even though they paid Matt Flynn a ton of money. Hey, what we pay you is the cost of doing business. When you play is old school football where you have to earn the right to be able to do it. But I think it's a very transparent conversation. I think if you're transparent with the players and everyone knows what the rules of engagement are, you have a better chance of keeping the team together. I think it's when you're operating in secret and no one knows. I think you have to put it out there, like you said, and everyone knows. And those who are okay with it are going to be in your program, and those who aren't for you. But I think you have to be okay with that kind of approach.
The other thing, I don't know how you could even do it. I don't know what the rules are on this because I don't think you can do, I don't think you can do performance-based like contracts. Not that I know of, but one of the things I was thinking of, man, it'd be an easy way to raise money if you went to some boosters and said, hey, if we win 10 games, everybody on the whole team gets a bump, from where they're. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're building that kid, like, hey, at the end of the day, let's try and get this together, because then we're all going to be rewarded. Yeah,
like if you put some team-based incentives and you do some things like that. Like, I mean, look at DJ, I think some of those things have an opportunity to work. I think you have to be creative. I think you have to find a way to do it within the rules. But yeah, there's a way to handle this because obviously there's some people that are finding a way to get it done, Yeah, no question. All right. This was a fun one. Great to catch up with our buddy Jim Nagy. Looking forward to watching that big time game, Texas, Oklahoma. Doesn't get better than that. Some other really good games on the schedule this weekend as well. It's a good weekend of college football. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. We appreciate you here on Move the Sticks.